Alright guys, we are back into the next game. We hopped right into this one because we just couldn't miss it. It is of course our friends Crane, Goofy, and Big Rock in Le Jeu de Bleu playing against No EarthSpirit. And you guys have probably heard of No EarthSpirit before. If you haven't, we'll introduce them to you in a second. But before that, again with me is Nizcast. Are you here with me, buddy?
I'm here. I'm really excited for this one. Obviously, we've seen a bunch of Le Jeu de Bleu over the last couple tournaments. We haven't been able to cast any of No EarthSpirit, but these guys are really, really good. These are two really, really good teams. Back when I was playing with Goofy, Crane, and Indie Bear, No EarthSpirit kind of had our number. You know, they seemed to beat us every time we went really deep into the SCS tournaments and other tournaments. We played them a lot in finals and semifinals and different tournaments. And they always seem to have our number, so I'm eager to see how this one pans out. So
5 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
No, same thing here. No EarthSpirit was always one of those teams that we played against a lot and never were quite able to beat consistently, but was definitely a very, very strong team in the North American scene. And that being said, we can go ahead and actually get into the draft as it has started. Again, standard banouts. We do not see the Viper or the Brewmaster this time. We instead see a Death Prophet and a Lycan ban out for it and replace those. For the picks, of course, we have Razor and Tidehunter because there is no Death Prophet in the pool for them. Counter pit or the picks for No EarthSpirit will be the Earthshaker and Shadow Shaman. Very strong supports. We will see a Viper get banned out. I like that, considering that he is one of the cores that can really handle a Razor and really get up in his face. And then we do see the Pugna ban out. Interesting decision, but I do like that considering they're so spellcaster heavy already. A Pugna ward can really mess with a Rasta, an Earthshaker, and any blink initiators, because blinking and initiating in, even though it doesn't cost mana now, it still hurts when you cast your spells and you can basically blow yourself up.
Yeah, I think there was only one game that we saw where Goofy wasn't on the Death Prophet. So it'd be interesting to see what they're going to pick this time around. And I think that other game he was playing Viper. I could be completely wrong on that, but it's also been banned out. So I'm eager to see what Goofy's going to be playing, and I wonder if that Death Prophet ban was actually a respect ban. But yeah, we typically they've been picking their mid immediately off the start. Obviously, they haven't shown their mid yet, so they're probably going to pick that a lot later in the draft. But we've got a very strong lineup. From the dire side, you know, Earthshaker, Shadow Shaman, Skyrath. That's a scary, scary lane. And typically 3 supports, which is something to note there. I guess Shadow Shaman's gonna be the farming one out of that.
They could do Earthshaker too, because a lot of these stronger, you know, semi-pro teams do prefer to put some more unconventional lanes when they feel a perceptual advantage. And one thing that does is it makes their, you know, the rest of their strategies hidden as the tournament goes on, but the second thing it does is it makes it harder for the other team to really nail down what they're drafting, because you're going to be sitting there thinking, well, honestly, all 3 of those heroes can go mid. But I think the important thing for Le Jeu de Bleu is to just ignore the fact that they picked those 3 supports and they could do anything with it, and just do what they're going to do, right? Like, obviously be aware of what those heroes offer, but don't worry about what they're going to do. And we do see the Mirana pick up as well, so a really strong tempo controlling lineup, honestly, from No EarthSpirit. Something they honestly wrecked us with many a times. One hero that they also picked up with this a lot was a Templar Assassin, because Templar Assassin is a snowball hero. When you can get up into the enemy lanes, when you can dive them with a haste, you can really take the tempo, and once you have the tempo in a really strong way, it's really hard to pull it back. I mean, like, honestly, especially with TA, you have arrows, you have Skyrath. It's just going to be hard. Well, we'll see if they go for that TA.
Reserve time.
Yeah. They have so far picked up the same kind of lineup that they've been running, but I don't know how they're going to close it out with their mid heroes. I know Goofy's hero pool, and I'm not sure. Maybe it's just gotten a lot bigger since I stopped playing with him. But not that it was really, really limited, but yeah, I know the heroes that he really, really likes to play, and I'm not sure what they're going to close it out with.
Well, they do go with the Sand King support.
So
I think it's also worth noting, though, with that Sand King pickup, that both supports are relatively greedy while again the cores that they picked up are not so greedy. You do need a Blink Dagger on Tidehunter to be fully functional, and you obviously want to mech Ags on Razor, but those heroes naturally
10 seconds
get those
to go.
items in their lanes because of what
5
they offer.
seconds.
So I'm excited to see if they can get their Blink online on the Sand King quick enough. I assume they'll prioritize that more than the Wraith King. But we'll see how they go about it in their lanes, because what I really want to like in that with is it's 2 melee heroes if they put Razor with it, but it's 2 melee heroes as supports. Yeah, it's 2 melee heroes with supports no matter how you do it. They have good stuns. I guess you could get boots first on Wraith King to set it up, but Silencer is banned out here. A good hero to stop initiations and stop heroes like Earthshaker from getting Echo Slam. A good way to stop Shackles or other important follow-ups
10
in the fight.
seconds to go.
We do see the Tinker is the last ban out, and I like that decision.
Nice.
There's a lot of early game advantage coming out from no EarthSpirit, and if they leave too many hard carries, or I guess not hard carries, but strong carry heroes that can take advantage of the momentum and tempo that no EarthSpirit could set with these 4 heroes like Tinker and Morphling, it can be really hard for you to ever come back in the game, because you always have that thought, well, they have a Tinker, well, they have a Morphling.
10
And it's true, those heroes can
seconds
pretty
to
much
go.
single-handedly take it out.
Yeah, I think it's quite clear that there's going to be a timing where the Radiant team is really going to come on
Reserve
board here.
time.
You know, obviously you need to get your Ravage up, or sorry, your Blink Ravage up. Sand King's going to want to get his Blink. You know, Wraith King's going to want to have something. You know, yeah, he can function without a Blink. Yeah, he can do whatever, but if that's going to be a support, you know, he's got to do something. He's got to get something to get off the ground. He can't just be running around as a broke-ass Wraith King. And then, of course, Razor, you know, you want him to get his mech. So you got a whole bunch, pretty much every hero on your team needs 2,000 to 3,000 gold worth of items before you're really going to start coming into your own. And, yeah, no EarthSpirit, they get stronger as they get items. Obviously, Earthshaker wants his Blink, but the other heroes can function right from the start, and they can do it really well. Not saying that Wraith King and Sand King can't do that, but they don't really need those core items
Right.
to really start, you know, coming into their own and really making a big impact in the game. So they don't really have a time, and they can put the pressure on. And you know, in the past, you know, EarthSpirit has done that. You know, they like to really push the pressure and really show their dominance and show that, you know, we want to control this game. We want to be in your
Ooh.
face. What the heck?
The Warlock is going to be, and honestly, I think that's somewhat of a chips or all in the mid game. Like Warlock late game with Ag's Refresher can do a lot, but obviously Tide, Razor, Sand King with their ultimates and teamfight control could clear the deck and prevent Warlock from getting the double golem out, or even just honestly clearing the golems from all of the damage they can put out. But what I want to get at is now when they get these picks and these kills from the Mirana and the Shadow Shaman, the Earthshaker, these roams, they can group up together and just use Chaotic Offering, get a tower, back up for 2 minutes, farm, go get ganks, get kills, get collateral, rinse and repeat until they've constricted Le Jeu de Bleu to their base. And at that point, it becomes impossible to get enough farm to come back in the game. But yes, Sniper is the final pickup, and I like that. I think that there are lots of potential for Sniper to get things done in this game, but I think it's riding on a lot too of his other team. It's not going to be Sniper winning this game. It's really going to be Big Rock with good Blink epicenters. It's going to be Tidehunter by Crane getting those good Ravages, great timings on him,
10
and it's honestly going to come down to Razor getting farm and staying alive in the fights. And Indy Bear just needs to make sure he sacrifices himself well, because that's really what Wraith King wants to do, is get in there, get his stun off, and force the team to focus him. But we'll see if they can get that done, as I'll go ahead and introduce
I'd get
No
more
EarthSpirit
time with you.
over here on the Dire side, otherwise known as Banner Spirit. We have CSO, not entirely sure how he wants me to say that, on the Earthshaker with an interesting set. We have Alex Z picking up the Mirana, looks to be a core. We have Shadow Shaman being picked up by Glacius, definitely playing support there. A Heart, playing Skywrath Mage support, and finally that leaves Fan of Sonyan, the captain of EarthSpirit, on presumably the mid Warlock and a Smoke Gank to come. So I'll let you go ahead and quickly introduce.
I'll be real quick with this. Playing the sniper on Jeu de Bleu on this Radiant side, we have Goofy on that sniper. We've got Crane on the Tidehunter picking up boots first. We got Sofu on the Razor, and we got Indie Bear on the Wraith King, and we got Big Rock on the boots first Sand King as well.
Indie Bear might be in trouble. His concussive shot does fly out. That's 4 seconds of slow. The arrow is coming through, and the Fisher to line it up. Indie Bear needed to move before that Fisher came out, and that should be first blood as Glacius steals that with Aethershock. And it's interesting. I'm interested to see how they do the lanes here. I presume it will be a Mirana core with the Shadow Shaman and either the Skywrath or the Earthshaker, and then obviously the Warlock middle. The question is oh no, they're just going to do dual lanes. So they're going to go ahead and do something a little bit more out of the meta or the trends, as it were. No, okay, I'm stupid. I'm just going to stop saying things before it happens. Skywrath Mage will go somewhere, and we'll make note of that when that happens. But for now, they do have 2 heroes bottom against a tri-lane.
Yeah, I think they're going to go aggro try with this and leave the Warlock mid, and that looks like what they're going to do. The Warlock did pick up boots first, and that may seem a little weird that you got a Warlock middle with boots first, but sorry, there was just some stuff getting drawn on the map there. But the boots first is going to allow the Warlock to really push up and play a lot more aggressive on the sniper, which because he's got such a good attack animation and such good attack damage.
Actually, Glacius might get picked off here as that first blood might be immediately turned around. Big Rock and Indie Bear are chasing as Sofu does get hit by that arrow. Looks like Glacius will be able to deny himself to a neutral. Yes, they don't get the experience on that, but it is worth noting that he did fall for that courier. Not in threat right now, as it does send out sentries so they can deward. Pause coming out of Big Rock. But again, Glacius is going to have to run back. He did purchase up his boots already from that first blood. And I don't know how they started that fight, but definitely important for Indie Bear and Big Rock to control this lane, if they can. However, they need to be careful, because there is a lot of kill potential coming out of the tri-lane that Banearth is running. It's a demonic picture of Shadow Shaman in his hero portrait right now for me.
This is going to be a very delicate tri-lane from both sides, and it always is when you're aggro versus aggro, or when you're tri-lane versus tri-lane, but it's going to be very, very delicate, because it's very easy to misstep and to lose heroes in this tri-lane. You've got 2 melee supports, which you're obviously going to be rather limited to, but you do have a Razor on the back of that. So all you really have to do is throw out your stuns, and then Razor just drains. And he just becomes this giant turret that's just dealing a ton of damage. So you can kind of just stun and disengage. You don't have to stick around auto-attacking too much like you typically would in a tri-lane. And that's kind of the advantage that Razor gives you. But the Dire side here, they've just got so much range, so much, like, they've got a ton of lockdown from the Rasta. So, you know, yeah, Razor can steal all the damage he wants and play aggressive on you, but if he just gets locked down by the Rasta, well, then he's not able to auto-attack. He's not going to put out any damage. And you've got Skywrath, who you're not going to run away from. He's got the really, really long-range slow. You've got Mirana, who can set up an arrow, you know, when they're playing around in these choke points right here. And we saw Soulfood get arrowed there. And, of course, Mirana can also play aggressive, too, because she's got lead. So she doesn't really have to be too worried about some of these disables that can come out from the Radiant side.
Well put, Niz. And we will get back into the action here, as Indie Bear seems to no longer be lagging. They might try to go for a kill here on Alex, but actually he doesn't have level 2 yet, and that is important to note. Alex cannot dodge any of these stuns, something that Indie Bear and Big Rock are looking to take advantage of, as they also did deward this ward here, and now Glacius may be out of position, as he is right next to the Sand King. They could throw out the Burrow Strike, but they choose not to, as Glacius backs up, and a lot of posturing going on here, and that's what Tri-v-Tries are all about. Is just the positioning right now. We'll see if any of them can take advantage of the little mistakes that come out of these positioning wars.
Yeah, I'd like to see them get level 2 on this on Big Rock on the Sand King, so that he at least gets Sandstorm, and that'll allow him to hop into the jungle. Although it is blocked up already by EarthSpirit. They know about this, obviously about the Sand King shenanigans, but but just by having him getting level 2, he's got the threat of going there, but
Well, Crane is
Already.
diving top lane. Might actually be able to get a kill here. There are no boots on the Earthshaker, as he does have boots himself. He is just chasing him with that anchor smash, does throw it out. Tower is, of course, not targeting Crane because he's not right-clicking it, but while I'm looking at that, Razor does get isolated in this tri lane, as it looks like his supports rotated over to grab that rune, and then they were spotted out by that ward. And if Le Jeu de Bleu is paying attention to the movement of the enemy team, they should assume there is a ward along the path that they took to get there and go for another D ward, but they're out of sentries. As actually Glacius now caught out, throwing down a sentry ward will get Burrow's strike. They do throw out the concussive shot, trying to do some damage to Indy Bear to prevent the chase. Arrow flinging out hits Indy Bear, as that will allow them to maybe clean him up. Big Rock doing a good job zoning out, pushing them back. Glacius does get out alive, as there will be no follow-up kills for that.
what I was actually getting to with my point about the Sandstorm is that this No EarthSpirit team was doing a really good job with their posturing, making sure that Sand King wouldn't be able to roam away from that bottom lane, even if he does get level 2 in the Sandstorm. And they chose to actually roam away and get some sentry wards down to try to free up their pull. And while that happened, you know, the No EarthSpirit's positioning was just really good, and they were able to jump on Soulfu. We were looking top, but they were able to get that initiation on Soulfu, and I caught it a little bit earlier than you. And he had no way of getting out of there. He was dead to rights as soon as they jumped on him.
Well, good to note. And of course, top lane, it looks like maybe a little bit of trades here going up top. I think the Earthshaker went back to base during that, as Crane has been zoning him out pretty hard. We do see Goofy doing a decent job. It is actually straight up even in this middle lane right now. Only a 2, now 3 deny advantage, and 1 CS going to the side of Soyun. So good job by both players, or I guess good trades, or good even matchup. Too bad we're not able to watch it, as this bottom lane has been a lot of action. Trying to keep tabs here, because Crane looks like he really wants to dive here, and that's really what he should do as a Tidehunter against a melee hero. I wouldn't even be surprised to see him, if he gets another good anchor smash, use his solo Ravage when he has it up. And looks like Fisher and Enchant Totem thrown out onto Goofy here, as both Indy Bear and Big Rock have smoked up. But again, this ward spotting out their movement, and again, this is where they should be using deductive logic to say, alright, we moved along this path. There should be a ward somewhere along that way that we need to deward so we can get these rotations without them seeing.
Well, they have to know there's a ward somewhere around there, because it's blocking their pull. But
That too.
we were talking a little bit about the top lane there, and obviously Crane's been dominating that lane, as he should. That's a fairly tied favored lane. But Earthshaker actually chose to pick up a bottle, and he's been bottle crowing.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, that would explain his HP.
He actually just got the bottle into himself, just chugged all 3 and just sent it back.
I think it was the second charge, because he was at low HP, and now maybe he might be able to get Crane, as Crane does throw out the anchor smash, and now the Echo Slam, and Crane just underestimating the power of Earthshaker with that Bottle Crow and level 7. They're about equal levels. Actually, he's ahead. I'm not entirely sure how that happened, but Crane slightly... Oh, no, obviously the kill. What am I saying? But yeah, he was level 6, so he did have access to that Echo Slam. And a little bit of miscalculation coming out of Crane. While we actually see Skywrath Mage rotating in the middle lane, and Goofy's not going to be able to do much here, as he is a sniper trying to run away here, getting the good bottle charges, in the tower is focusing the Skywrath Mage. The question is, will Goofy be able to get the Assassinate? He does get the Shrapnel. Assassinate coming, will it get the kill? Yes! Goofy nets that kill, and that sets the board 2-3 in favor of Banner Spirit still.
Yeah, that was looking like it was actually going to be a really good rotation from the Sky there, but then it looked like, okay, Goofy's going to get away, and then the tower switched to Sky, and it suddenly turned real bad, as we got Soulfu.
We might actually see Gladius go down here as Plasma Field with the Wraithfire Blast, dealing quite a bit of damage, taking right clicks. The Starfall is thrown. There won't be enough for the second follow-up right clicks, as Big Rock was not around. He was stacking his jungle, it looks like. Does rotate back into the lane. Now Glacius will have to return to base because of that. And again, the bottle crowing out of Earthshaker, he's just able to stay in this lane despite Crane's anchor smash spam with those arcane boots. I think that's a really good adjustment to the lane. And I wish I would have caught that earlier so I sounded smart instead of noticing something late, but very intelligent from him.
Yeah, there's the only real imbalance in this game so far has actually come from the top lane, but we did see Earthshaker get that kill on Tide. So, well, I guess the tri lane is a little bit No EarthSpirit favored as well. The Mirana's getting more CS than the Razor. But I'm actually surprised to see this this middle lane going as well as it is, or as even as it is. I've always thought Warlock was a really strong mid, but this is definitely showing that it has a lot of potential. But I'm eager to see how they're really going to make use of this Warlock in the middle game versus the Ravage and stuff like that. So.
Well, he does have access to that chaotic offering. We will have to see when he chooses to leave that lane. I'm not entirely sure what he's purchased up, as he does have no money. He is going to go ahead and just straight rush that Midas, which is going to delay the potential of their team fight, as the tri-lane is pinging out, maybe wanting to set up here, as we do see a blind arrow thrown out, is in the line of Razor. But he does move out of the way at the last second there. Big Rock also potentially a threat here, as they do rotate into the Radiant jungle to attempt to control that.
While this is going on, Indie Bear did TP top, and he's just hanging around. He's looking for a kill on this Earthshaker. So I'll try to keep my eyes up there.
Actually, he does get in sight right now, so Earthshaker should be backing up.
Oh,
Buys the boots, though. I was pointing out earlier that Indie Bear did not purchase his boots yet, or had no boots yet. Now he does finally get those. Midas is picked up, as well as phase boots. And yes, the two supports.
Two supports from both teams. Well, actually, two
Well,
supports.
concussive shot will be the first one to come out as A dives into it. They throw the chaotic offering. Goofy taking a lot of damage, and with that ancient seal, it should be enough to clean him up. But the double burrow strike coming out of Big Rock, dealing quite a bit of damage. But there is that. God, I can't remember the name of it. Fatal Bonds. Sorry, and obviously the Warlock Golem just cleaving apart the Radiant side. The Flaming Fists does so much damage, and I believe he got 2 or 3 procs in a row. 60% chance does give you a high probability to get multiple hits in a row. And with that Golem, Sonyan will be able to push the lane, and this is where the weakness of the Radiant lineup really comes into fruition, or it becomes obvious, and the Dire side's strengths also become obvious, because they're able to push and fight. But if you initiate on the sniper and he dies, and then there's only supports there, there's no Wraith King Aegis, there's no Razor, they just kind of fall apart.
Well, you typically in games that look fairly even, there's one telltale sign that really shows which team is starting to fall behind, and that's if you look at the support players. And we saw both supports from the Radiant side have fallen behind the Dire supports, and this was actually true before that engagement middle there. Big Rock was only sitting on level 2 on the Sand King, whereas the supports from the other team were like 4 and 5.
Well, this might be the opportunity to turn around, as Big Rock and Indie Bear are rotating in from behind. They do have a sentry on the anti-mage, sorry, or Skywrath Mage is the one with the sentries. It doesn't look like there is any on the side of the Radiant. They will get that tower, which is important now. Will Indie Bear be able to get out? He is hexed up by Shadow Shaman, followed up by the Ether Shock, taking quite a bit of damage. The Burrow Strike does come through from Big Rock, as well as in the side. The Echo Slam by CSO hits on 2. Goofy might go down. He's trying to run away, and it looks like actually Skywrath Mage falls from good plays by Big Rock. Crane popping the Ravage on 2, dealing quite a bit of damage, and that's the death of the Earthshaker. Now they have the Assassinate to go on to Fanis Sonyan, as he will be cleaned up. 3 kills going in favor of the Radiant side, as a great spread out fight from them. I didn't catch all the action, but hopefully you can give us some insight on that, Niz.
Yeah, I was able to hop down and watch the bottom part of that fight. As Indy was playing really aggressive on the Rasta, just putting some pressure in, and this Mirana, played by Alex, he rotated up from the bottom lane, and he threw an arrow basically over where the ancient camp was, and it flew all the way and hit Indy for the kill. So very good prediction by him to get that arrow off. But yeah, I don't know which team came out ahead there. I think obviously, you know, the Radiant side got the tower, but I think that tower was, you know, secured long ago, before a lot of those kills started to happen. But there actually is a smoke out here from both supports from the Dire side.
Yes, and that could turn into something, as they're immediately taking it to the mid lane. However, their tower is down, so there's a little bit more space. Indie Bear in a little bit of a precautious situation. He is not aware of this smoke. Should be backing up any second now, but he's not aware of it, like I said. And now that they see Goofy in the lane, they're going to go for it. The Fatal Bonds comes out, but the the stun onto Warlock will prevent Chaotic Offering from immediately coming out. However, it does hit on 2 and clean up that kill, as Glacius gets a mega kill streak, and Warlock taking that other kill. And with that Golem, they will siege the middle lane and hope to equalize the tower advantage in that middle lane.
Yeah, that seemed like a really risky play, and I wonder if they think they're really far behind. They are behind, but I don't think they were that far behind. But it felt like that was forced. They had no idea where those supports were. You know, they certainly, the Earthshaker wasn't giving away that the supports were potentially top. and they had no idea where the supports could have been bottom.
Well,
So it's kind of weird that they forced that play. But
And roster wards will get dropped middle in addition to the Warlock Golem, giving them a ton of sieging power synergy we kind of touched base on in the draft, but not as much as we probably could have. It will be pushed back here. They do throw out the concussive shot, maybe to try to turn this around, but most likely not. They will clean up the roster wards. That is the Radiant team. I wanted to say their French name, but I gave up. Invis on Big Rock, as he is spotting out their exit. And things are going decently for them, I think, because also it's worth noting Sand King is getting very, very close to this Blink Dagger despite what's going on, and Crane has picked up that mechanism, freeing up Razor to go straight into drums and I assume Agatims afterwards. So item pickups are still coming from the Radiant side, which is important. However, the ward vision is the really big tail right now, as they only have one ward up on the map, where the Dire have 3 critical lane wards to be able to see rotations of every single, I guess you could call it, movement path that Blue's Clues could take.
yeah, what's key is that this Dire side has taken, EarthSpirit has taken an advantage early on in this game, but Le Jeu de Bleu on the Radiant side has kept in the game, and they're getting closer and closer to that timing where I said they're really gonna start exploding with all their item pickups. You know, they've got the mech. They actually picked it up on Tide instead of Razor this game, which I think is the right choice. But like you said, Sand King just purchased his Blink Dagger now, and that's actually a timing that's much faster than this Earthshaker. Earthshaker's still 900 away from his. So they have a little bit of an advantage here. Whether or
Well,
not
it was
they
a
push
straight
or not.
rush, and we see 4 TPs into this tower as they want to defend it. Razor does move out of his invis, or out of the fog, and the Ravage hits on 2 as Earthshaker is dropping really low. They do through the concussive shot onto Indie Bear, and there is no detection on any of these heroes that I can see, and this is really starting to hurt them, and they're going to need to turn this around for the rest of the fights. If they do not get detection for these exits with the Mirana ult, that was 4 kills, I feel like. 3 or 4 kills that were guaranteed. We'll throw that arrow with that region, of course, but really, just 1 Sentry Ward or Dust would have changed the face of that fight. And now, middle lane going to get pressured in again as we see level 2 Chaotic Offering as well as level 1 Serpent Wards coming out of Rasa. They won't even need it as the tower is down to about 100 HP or less. Now going to die is Big Rock, actually with the channeled Epicenter doing quite a bit of damage, but that mech heals it up, and Big Rock alone using his abilities, showing off that Blink Dagger, and it was a great pickup. But unfortunately, the use in its first use was just kind of pointless, and that will put his abilities on cooldown. Bottom tower does fall during this as well, which is a big positive for Blue's Clues as they trade 1 tower for 1 tower and 1 hero.
That initiation really caught me off guard, and turned out he just kind of ended up feeding there. But it was looking good. I was panicked as soon as I saw him jump in. I was like, oh my god, is there all of a sudden a bunch of backup here? And turns out there wasn't. But yeah, so not the best time to initiate there. But you know, we talked about lack of detection, and I talked a little bit earlier about the supports falling behind, and Sand King somehow climbed his way back into this game. Oh, Crane.
Might get picked out. Might get picked off. Does throw out the Anchor Smash. Now Alex actually the one taking quite a bit of damage. Mechanism is used. The healing is running on him as well. They don't have enough mana to actually get the Golem off with the Fatal Bonds, as well as the Echo Slam and the Aftershock doing so much damage, clearing 2 heroes immediately. And now Indie Bear, and actually Soulfuyu was the one caught out here, as now the Chaotic Offering is able to be dropped, and that will clean up the 3rd kill. And this push potential will just continue, as the Mechanism will be coming off of cooldown in 20 seconds. They do have Healing Ward for Shadow Shaman, and of course, they still have the Serpent Wards in addition to the Warlock Golem. Arrow flying out as the Shrapnel comes out from Goofy, but a great Fisher again blocking out Goofy. He throws out the TP immediately. Do they have the burst to kill him? But the Hex guarantees that they don't need to burst him. They can just finish him off at their own rate, and this tower will fall as a... What, 4? No, 2 tower advantage goes to the Dire side in this game. No
This
banner
Earthshaker
spirit.
played by CSO has just been bringing out the big plays in the last few moments.
Oh, and he's even blocking his team
Fisher.
because of BM.
BM Fissure, but yeah, as I was saying, you know, the support's falling behind a little bit. Somehow Sand King got back in the game, but you know, Indie Bear on this Wraith King, when you fall behind on a Wraith King, it's not good, and that's why, like, he's been playing. You know, he's obviously the position 5 on this team, and he's been buying all the wards exclusively. And with him falling behind, that's why they were lacking the detection at the bottom fight. Now he's kind of gotten off the ground because they got a little bit, of gold there, so he's able to pick up all his stuff. But But yeah, now Big Rock's also able to help out, so that's going to help Indy get off the ground as well. But the execution from this dire side in those top fights, they went to jump on Crane, who was TPing in, and it turns out they weren't able to get the kill. And then the Jeu de Bleu thought, okay, this is really good. We can go in, we can get the kill on Alex on the Marana. But then they just went too far, and then Warlock just showed that he's a pretty damn good hero. Like, a lot of people forget about that hero, but he's a pretty damn good hero, and he started turning the fight around. Fanasoyan was playing really great on that, and then CSO just comes jumping in with the Echo. It completely turns the fight around, and then even as they push forward to the tier 2, there he gets another incredible blink fissure, walking off Goofy and getting another kill for his team. So
item progression is going much better for the dire side, as well as when we turn to the golden experience graph, we saw a 7,500 gold and experience graph favor for them. In the last game, we of course saw Blues Clues in the opposite position, the ones with the lead. Regen Rune will spawn top as they are posturing a little bit here where the Dire T1 once was, throwing down a ward as well that is very important. Even when you're behind, knowing what your opponents are doing, having vision of where they're going to be is probably the most important thing in any strategy game. Knowledge is power. We do see the haste popped by Earthshaker here as he wants to maybe go on Goofy. 3 points in Enchant Totem. He will deal quite a bit of damage. He's charging it. Goofy does throw out the Echo Slam and the Enchant Totem, followed up by the Fissure, nets the kill, and with that haste he'll blink away. And that was just a quick net kill. They don't have any stuns in the nearby area. That was great evaluation with this ward here by him. Sand King just not in range to do anything, and free kill.
CSO is on a whole nother level right now than everyone else in this game. He just, no fear, gets that haste rune, just runs in, just does a quick little drive-by, picking off Goofy on the sniper, and just runs away.
Yeah, no, that was absolutely amazing to watch. But that being said, he did get that kill, but he used Echo Slam, so if they could turn this fight around, it would be important. Goofy is respawning soon. They don't have a tower he can TP too close to, but Indy Bear already in the fight, throwing out his stun. The concussive shot was used. They're popping the Murano, but there goes the dust for the first time, and Epicenter goes out as well as the Ravage, hitting on 3 this time. But in the background, there's the Chaotic Offering as well as the Serpents doing a ton of damage. 2 have already fallen, and they're both on the Radiant side. The first one for the Dire side will fly. That's the Warlock, and Crane attempting to TP out here will take a little bit of damage, but enough to kill him. And now Big Rock and Goofy are on the escape, and this is a big problem for the Radiant side. It is actually the Earthshaker wants to continue this chase on to Big Rock as he throws out the the Sandstorm and getting that blink right as the Fissure goes down. They may not be able to get Roche now because of the wards being used and the low health on many of their heroes. They might just attempt it anyways. But these fights are just going a little bit more in favor of EarthSpirit, and that's all that matters, is every little fight is a little bit more, and they're slowly pulling that advantage apart. And a little bit of mistakes too, because I think Indy Bear was just too far forward. They didn't have Goofy, and yeah, they picked off the Warlock, but again, it just seems like they were too spread out, whereas EarthSpirit, they were already at Roche, they were already set up, they were ready for the fight.
Yeah, maybe Goofy wasn't close enough for that fight to really make a difference. However, I think everything went right for the Radiant team at the point of the Ravage went out. When the Ravage went out, it was a great Ravage, it was a terrific Ravage, then everyone targeted different people. And that's
actually, CSO might get caught out here as he was trying to play cocky again, gets blinked, burrow striked by the Sand King, followed up by the right clicks, and that's a good pick. Honestly, just a little bit of cocky play coming out of him, and if there was a way for Blues Clues to get back into this game outside of great plays from themselves, it would be throws or just mistakes from a little bit of too full of themselves, confidence, whatever you want to say, however you want to look at it. But go ahead, Niz.
No, I agree. I think that's obviously that's the first mistake we've seen from CSO all game. He's been, obviously he got demolished in the lane by Crane, but then somehow he pulled a kill out of it, and he got himself right back in the game. And then we've seen big echoes. He's just been playing out of his mind this game, and I guess he had to slip up at some moment, and that was it, just getting picked off there. He's being way too cocky, but yeah, like I was saying, the fight before, the Radiant had everything going for them. They threw out a terrific Ravage, they were all in good positions, and then they just split up and they targeted different people, and then everyone got to low health, but no one died, except for the Warlock. So, they just have to focus a little bit more.
Well, that being said, the lull in the action continues, or I guess is continuing. We have Aghanims being picked up by Fan of Sonian. It's not quite picked up yet, but it basically might as well be. a leap away from Alex as the attempted gank middle is, I guess, not effective. Haste onto Earthshaker, that's very important. We saw what he did with it before, and now we might actually see a lot of action. As around Roche Pit, it is getting tense. Both teams are aware, or at least semi-aware, of each other's positioning, as I'm not entirely sure that Blues Clues knows exactly that the Dire is all set up here ready to fight. Cooldowns are all off and ready to go, and we see the Enchant getting pulled up, and now the Mirana ult as they want to move through, but this Sentry Ward will give them vision of this rotation. However, I don't think they actually have an Obs Ward to see this, but they will see the D ward of that ward. Oh, another drive-by, yeah, and in bottom lane I missed it, but he misses as well, so unfortunately it won't be a kill, as he does run away with the rest of that haste rune. And they might choose to zone them back and go for the tower here. They might choose to take a team fight here over Roche, but either way, this next team fight I feel like is going to decide a lot of this game, as both teams are just really coiled up and ready to throw it, throw everything out. And if the Dire side wins it handily, it's going to be incredibly hard for Blues Clues to come back in this, and they're actually getting zoned out from their side of the map, and they're losing the high ground advantage. Goofy is actually going to run into Alex and surrender the high ground advantage. Crane brings in and immediately gets silenced. The Chaotic Offering gets another 3 on the stairwell, and now Crane wants to throw out the ult, and at maximum range it hits 3, but the entire Radiant team is caught out as the Epicenter does get through, but then CSO uses a great Echo Slam, hitting multiple heroes. Indie Bear in the front does die with that Aegis, but will get cleaned up in his second life. And 3 for 1 as Crane escapes with 300 HP. The pursuit continues as Fisher is thrown out by CSO onto Crane. Looks like he gets away, and they should push this tower and then go take Roshan immediately after.
Maybe I just misread that fight, but it looked like it was really, really sloppy engagement from No EarthSpirit there, and it looked like the Jeu de Bleu had the chance to just disengage there on the back of the Ravage, but they chose to all go in, and it ended up being a huge fight.
Yeah, and honestly, I think again it had to do with that whole uphill advantage thing, right? Like Dire side has so many more wards over here, and honestly, Blues Clues just had no idea that how the level of preparedness that Banner Spirit was, and if Crane would have been able to, if they would have had vision of Banner Spirit, then Crane could have blinked in, ravaged, and then they would have won the fight. But since they didn't know, Crane obviously blinked and was like, oh god, there's 4 heroes, panicked for that split second, it got silenced, and then, you know, the Chaotic Offering came out, and that's what zoned them back all right here, because they were all on this low ground over here. So they had to run through the upheaval in the Chaotic Offering, which was a big deal in my opinion.
But did they have to?
They could have disengaged, yes, but you know, you get in that thought when you're in the game of, guys, we just use Ravage, we got to win this fight, we got to turn it around, and sometimes, I mean, that's where, you know, being a commentator versus a player is a lot different. You can understand the game as well, if not better than these players, or as well, if not better than the professionals, but when you're put in that booth, you're put in that game, and you don't have perfect information, that's the difference between, you know, high-skilled or high-experienced players and high-knowledge players, because they know they have that intuitive decision-making that allows them to make those smart split-second decisions and not make those fights or get out of those fights or disengage or whatever it may be.
Yeah, absolutely. We also have the benefit of seeing everyone on the map and all the vision too. So that's what I was saying, you know, maybe I think I just misread it. Because to me it looked like, well, it was just an easy disengage, but it's like you said, that split-second decision. We've used Ravage, and that's almost like your go moment. And yeah, it was done, and unfortunately the Dire side got even further ahead.
So put yourself in your old team position as the captain here. What would you have them do right now as we do see the Mirana ult coming out from Banner Spirit as they want to push the high ground?
You don't get picked off by this Moonlight Shadow, and it looks like they're not going to, so that's a good first step.
Arrow does fling out into the base, will miss everyone, it seems.
But you have to find a way to protect your sniper. You know, he's been kind of getting run over a lot in these team fights, and you've got to protect him some way. And I don't know how you do it, because I think No EarthSpirit is just so far ahead.
Net worth-wise, it is worth noting that Goofy is keeping up right now. I think that is a big force for them, because Sniper is an incredible high-ground defense hero, and you saw it right there. It feels like a great idea to run high ground right now with the advantage that Banner Spirit has, but you're running up high ground into Assassinate, into Shrapnel, into Sniper, into Ravage, into Eye of the Storm, etc., etc., etc. And that's terrifying.
But look at Goofy's item choices, right? They're all offensive items. And I'm not saying that's wrong by any means. That's what they need to get back in this game. They
Oh,
just have
actually,
to find
CSO
a way
might
to
get caught out here as he does get gushed into the Burrow Strike, dealing quite a bit of damage, but he barely survives. Gets off that Echo Slam on Big Rock, but it is only on one hero, and that's worth noting, as Crane is not able to quite get his Blink Dagger off. The upheaval dealing so much slow to the entire Radiant side as Big Rock does get picked off on the right side, and now the Golems are both down, and the Ravage hits on all of the Ban EarthSpirit team as Gladius taking a ton of damage. The Mystic Flare getting dispersed between multiple heroes, and now Fan of Sonia taking a lot, gonna fall to Goofy, and now Goofy doing even more damage, cleaning up the team, and that is a team wipe for Blues Clues. And if they needed a way to get back into this game, that was it. A good pickoff onto CSO. The Echo Slam missing, no one around when the Chaotic Offering goes down, and able to clear up those Warlock Golems, and now they have a chance to collect themselves and get a big turnaround. And whew, golden experience already showing it, and this might turn out to be an amazing game, Niz.
Yeah. Obviously, they started off that fight really well with the pick-off on CSO, but then as the fight went on, there was no way that no EarthSpirit was able to rush at Goofy and get the pressure on Goofy, and he was just a turret in the middle of that fight. And like I said, they found a way to protect him. Now, protecting doesn't always mean you have to be defensive and just reacting to what the enemy team's trying to do to your sniper. You can be active about it too, and creating space in other ways. And they did that. They created space. They put a lot of pressure on No EarthSpirit. No EarthSpirit all of a sudden had to start going defensive, and Goofy was just standing in the back, just raining down bullets on the fight. You know, he only walked away with 2 kills, but he did, I'm going to say, probably 90% of the damage of that fight. He was just killing everyone. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's what they needed. They just needed to keep him alive, and they have to keep doing it. That's the key.
Yep.
And you're not always going to get in a glorious start to a team fight like the pick off on CSO there. So they have to find a way to keep doing it. So we'll have to.
Well, that's where I
have to
think
see how
the
they do
cards are on Ban EarthSpirit, or I guess the precedence on Ban EarthSpirit in that respect. If they give Blues Clues, and in some ways I do mean give, without the with the exception of smoke ganks and good rotations, but they're kind of the ones at the advantage right now. They have the ones who can, or they're the ones that can dictate the tempo, the pressure, where the fights should happen. But if CSO or if Warlock, or if any one of them is in one wrong position at the wrong time, it can mean a fight like that. And Sniper is impossible to go up on high ground with if you are equal or behind in farm, because how are you going to get, you saw that fight, and back to your point of how do you get to Goofy, well, how do you get up the high ground and to Goofy when there's a Ravage on your team, there's a Blink Epicenter, as well as Razor just standing there, and we will see a smoke up, and again, this is them taking the pressure of the game into their own hands. Goofy will blow the smoke to pressure out this lane. I don't think that's a bad decision. They didn't know Goofy was smoked. They might have just been assuming it. Now middle lane, Razor will push it out, as well as 3 heroes running up here into high ground on a CSO. Blink over onto the Sand King, or by the Sand King, not going to be able to actually get or latch onto the Skywrath Mage. Arrow flying out, gonna miss everyone as they do deward this ward in the middle lane. Concussive shot coming out onto Razor, but nothing will happen of that, as well as both teams in a Texas style hold-off right here, or old Western style hold-off, as both teams don't want to be the ones to initiate and make the mistake, but both of them want to win the fight.
Yeah, that was actually really great positioning by CSO there, just holding the high ground and popping that smoke, and because that could have ended really bad if No EarthSpirit didn't see that smoke coming.
Smoke by the Dire side now, and we'll see if they can get anything out of their smoke. They're actually just going to go straight for Roche, and I think this is a good decision. And
that's experience right there.
Exactly, but the question now comes on the side of Blues Clues. Do they have the experience to recognize what's going on? And it actually looks like they might, as multiple of their heroes are beelining it for it. The only one who's not going immediately is Goofy. But the question is, did they notice quick enough? Roche is down to 1,000 HP, now under 1,000 HP. The Mirana ult is active, and Goofy is cut off. He does pick up, or sorry, Crane is cut off. He does pick up that haste rune. Arrow flinging out will hit on Indie Bear, and if they should just sacrifice Indie Bear here. There's no reason to go back and save him, but it looks like Ban EarthSpirit's not even going to take the risk for this kill, as they will just back out, netting the advantage of Roshan. And I believe Aegis went on to, I was going to say Warlock, but it goes on to Mirana. So that I think the one thing I want to point out with that is that if they can pick Warlock or Earthshaker before the fight, there's no bots yet on the table, which means that that team fight ult will be gone for that fight. Mirana's a great hero for sustaining the fight to put the Aegis on, but if you don't get the initiation you want, then it's going to be a big problem for them. Right, like they're going to lose Warlock or ES off the bat. But what are your thoughts, Niz, on this specific situation? Because it looks like they're going to go high ground right now with this Aegis. They're all gearing up into that top lane.
Absolutely. One thing I want to point out, Warlock did just purchase a refresher orb recipe. So he's working towards that recipe. The other thing I wanted to point out was that the Radiant side did a very good job of reading the map and realizing that no EarthSpirit was indeed at Roche. However, the experience and just the quickness in making that decision to realize that, you know, Radiant side just failed a smoke. If we fall back, we smoke, we rush Roche, we'll beat them there, and we can catch them off guard before our lanes show the fact that we're probably going to Roche. And that's why they were able to catch Roche so quickly. You know, if there was a slight bit of hesitation from no EarthSpirit there, they would have been trapped in Roche by the time the Radiant side showed up. But they didn't. Their swiftness and their quick decision making allowed them to get a quick Roche there. And now they're pushing the high ground. And you asked me a little bit about this. And I think this is going to be very, very difficult. And it's going to be a very fragile team fight, because how do you engage? I mean, you have to engage with just throwing down the rock, I guess, or
Arrow will fling out and hit Goofy, and honestly, that might be the initiation they're looking for. Goofy is going to immediately die to the Mystic Flare, but no, a great Ravage coming in from Crane, but the Echo Slam to follow up will clean up. The Wraith King Crane is getting low. The Plasma Field will come out as well as Fan of Sonya and taking quite a bit of damage. Indie Bear will die on his second life, but now Goofy is still alive or does die in the background. Will buy back as well as most of his team. We now have 4 buybacks in total to defend this base. We'll see if they can actually hold their racks here, as they will blink forward. Crane throwing out the Gush does hit on the Skywrath Mage. Big Rock will blink forward, and as well as they get the Plasma Field, throwing out the Assassinate, and the Wraithfire Blast will be enough to clean up the Skywrath Mage. 2 supports are down. Alex on the run as 5 heroes are chasing him, and in the background CSO is going to throw out that Fisher. They have the Moonlight Shadow being used here, and with the Dust, it actually does hit on Mirana. Great play from Big Rock. He does get the Burrow Strike as well, and that will be a cleanup, and they need that, considering the fact that they just used 4, if not 5 buybacks. Will the leap happen? The leap does happen over the high ground, and it does dodge the Wraithfire Blast, but now the Burrow Strike not going to hit either, as he did blink up onto the high ground, and now the upheaval to prevent the chase as well. So, Rax was defended, but Niz, is the situation turning around enough for Blue's Clues for them to have a light at the end of the tunnel, or do you think it's still slowly getting closed out here by Banner and Spirit?
I don't think anything really changed there. I think that was a very even fight, and even though, you know, no EarthSpirit ended up losing 3 towards the end there, Goofy had to buy back. You know, Goofy dropped low, and Crane did a good job of jumping in and throwing out the Ravage so that there wasn't any echo coming out from the Earthshaker, because I think it was pretty obvious that Earthshaker was going to start running in and throw the big echo down and kill off Goofy there. But Crane did a good job of running in and disengaging kind of Goofy from the fight and making sure that he wasn't going to get picked off. But, you know, the Warlock dot ended up, you know, ticking out and killing Goofy before he got back to the fight, or back to the base, and then he had to immediately buy back. But I was speaking about how difficult it's going to be for them to really push uphill, and they kind of lucked out by throwing that arrow and hitting Goofy, and I think it was obviously lucky that they got that initiation, but at the same time it was lucky that the Radiant side walked away without losing the Rex. Like, that could have gone a lot worse than it did. So even though overall it was kind of even, I think it kind of came out the Radiant favored, because I really think they should have lost a Rax there.
Well, smoke comes out from Blue's Clues as they want to go ahead and take back control of this game. I did want to point out off of that they sorry, I guess I'll come back to that thought after this, as they do get the blink initiation onto Alex. He does have the leap. The follow-up stun may not be there, as the Assassinate is coming out to chase them, or to give vision, but they should not continue to chase this. 2 things I wanted to add to you really quickly before the action gets back here is, first of all, personally, for Goofy, I'd want to phrase it differently. I feel like he should have seen that arrow coming, because it did come down this line, and it was daytime, so he did have vision of it. And not as much luck as much as his mistake for getting hit. But the second thing I want to add is that to the advantage of that, you know, I prompted that question, But during that time, Soyeon picks up a refresher orb, and that's going to make a huge difference here as they're setting up to go high ground and take the racks here. Mirana ulti is popped as they do have this ward on the high ground to give them equal vision as the tower, and now the fight or the battle line is drawn. Arrow will fling out this time. It doesn't hit anyone, and that is an important start to this fight. A free initiation on Goofy would literally be game ending at this point. Sentry ward will be thrown down as well, so they have vision control. And the slow seed starts as Mirana throws her illusions up, and it looks like they're going to ward trap one of the illusions. Interesting decision there, as the wards will continue to beat down on this Rax on the tower. It falls, and the first golem does go down onto Goofy. He gets immediately bursted down and falls apart. Crane does get the refresher as well as his second ulti, but Soyeon already gets it off, and now the Echo Slam hits on everyone. The entire Radiant team is just getting wiped off the map as Razor falls. Indie Bear will fall after his second life, and that double Golem Rock was enough to end this game. And honestly, a great game. I thought they showed some life at the end of the game, even though EarthSpirit had a complete control as far as where the team fights were happening for a good portion of the game. But the one fight turnaround, and then that arrow is just kind of a back and forth swing, seesawing towards the end, where I really thought they could pull it out. But in the end, EarthSpirit wins. What are your thoughts, Niz?
One thing I wanted to point out, you pointed out the ward, the Dire ward just outside the Radiant base there. I actually think the Radiant should have a ward out there. They should also have a sentry ward down. They know that the Dire side's going to try to push with there. They've been pushing with the Mirana ult. They need some way to see that so that they can better position themselves. Goofy got a little cocky, got a little far up, trying to kill off those wards. I think he was trying to do, and he turned out to just get blown up at the start of that fight again. And like I said, they need to keep him alive. They weren't able to keep him alive, and they all just kind of fell over. So yeah, they could have just prepared themselves a little bit by having a ward on the other side of that, on the other ramp, to just kind of let them know of where the enemy positioning is. And of course, like I said, they need a sentry there as well, because they've been initiating a lot with the Mirana ult, so they need the sentry to see him. But overall, really well played by both players. CSO was outstanding this game. I've said it enough times, but all the other players on EarthSpirit, fan of Soyeon in particular, was standout as well.
Well, Niz, that's a good summary of this game, and that'll do it for us on this game. First of all, if you guys are enjoying this cast, please, below you, hit the follow button on my Twitch. Of course, check out my Twitter for updates as far as the casts go and what we are doing, and that's at DotaRaptors. And then all the VODs are being uploaded to my YouTube /DotaRaptors. If you guys are enjoying Niz, also check out his Twitch /Nizcast and his Twitter @Nizcast, which is in the title. That being said, that's all of it for us on this game. We are going to take a 5 to 10 minute break here, guys, to relax a little bit and get ready for the next games, as we did jump right into this one. This stream, again, will be bringing you guys more games. It will be about a 10-minute break before we get into the next one. But thank you so much for your guys' support and watching us. We hope to see you guys in future games.